Hey guys, it's Will. We just wrapped up our Rigetti trading session live at Market Open where we trade each and every day in StockMate. And today we were trading this very consistent upward trend with Rigetti. Part of the reason why we got in this morning was because of this big uptick that we started to see happen. We entered at, let me see if I can see my order price, 1275. So those right here, we basically were starting to see it trend upwards. You can see this trend start to happen. Let me just go from here to there, kind of like that. And we basically started to see this trend initialize. And once it pulled back down to this EMA, started to confirm it was continuing in this upward direction. We bought, again, 1279 was our purchase price, or 1275, I'm sorry. And then we held that position up until what was $14.07. We ended up selling after it broke pattern, started selling back off right here, and we sold, and now it's been consolidating after selling off. So this was a big trade today. We made over $400. Not a huge trade, but definitely a nice trade to take advantage of right at market open. Outside of that, we had some good movements over on some volatility with AMD, as well as Tesla stock was up. So our portfolio is up about 11% so far today. So when we look at Rigetti stock, one thing to consider is that this is not anything other than a continuation of pattern that we started to see develop. Now, this was a support that we mapped out yesterday, a previous resistance. We said if it's going to continue this bull run, it's most likely going to bounce here around this $11.50 to $12 range. It did exactly that today. It pushed up. It's up 12% so far today. And potentially, if it doesn't keep getting rejected as it is at this very moment, it potentially could get to that previous resistance, which would be another 10% run on the day. We'll see how it reacts throughout the rest of Friday here. And at the moment, if we're going to just look at the trend that's starting to develop, it could actually be pretty clear if you kind of go from here, start to come over here. It originally most likely was people were looking at it this way, and we were hoping it was going to continue. It's just stretched out a little bit further, as you could see, before continuing up. So it's not a perfect trend by any means, but what we do see is this consolidation be consistent. And anything with Rigetti continuing its direction, it's going to basically use this previous resistance. You could see this 1350 range. If it's going to really bull up right now, this previous resistance around 1350 is most likely going to act as a support so that it can hold that level before continuing to 1550. So why might Rigetti stock continue up? What is the future look like? I think near term, we're going to see a lot of volatility. It does look a tiny bit overextended as well. It's possible that it doesn't make this run right now and we see it sell back down to this $11 range, or it doesn't hold that support. It's possible. If it's going to make higher highs, it seems that this trend is starting to develop, this kind of staircase type of trend that we saw so commonly back here on the run from $1 to $21. And so that happened really just in a matter of months when it basically 10x'd. At this point, it's at $13.85. So if it's going to, let's say, get to that previous high, it's going to be a 55% increase. A sell down to this support would be about a 15% sell off. So do be cautious in the near term volatility. When we look at the news for Rigetti stock, there's a few things outside of these quotes that we went over this morning. I love these quotes. We go over every single day at market open in StockMate. It's such a good part of StockMate for me. I love that part. But we look at the technicals. There's three things we look at. The market, which is growing, that looks good. We see the market continuing to get more momentum. The usage will be a key indicator. How many people or how many companies are really using quantum computers in this next quarter earnings? And then outside of market, the second thing is the analysis. So we just kind of went over this. We also could bring in, if we're going to go a little more on the analysis side, kind of A, B, and C of analysis is the technicals, the fundamentals, and then we're going to look at some financials. So the news and then the financials. But one thing we could look more on the advanced side is if we're looking at the Fibonacci, which you take the highest top here, you look on the downtrend that happened recently, and you go to the nearest lowest low before it started this trend, and you go to where you could see it potentially going to. I think if it's going to hold pattern, it would get a little bit higher than higher highs. So it would be up here. Now, this is more of an extreme bull case, but in the event that that is true, according to Fibonacci, the golden ratio of 0.618 is the time to purchase. We can see that it's in this golden ratio right now. And let me, it would be better if I could just remove this line so you can see it's in the golden ratio of the Fibonacci sequence. So when we're looking at the trend, it just got rejected at this second level, which in most cases, if you're playing the Fibonacci, you're in a buy range here in the golden ratio. Now, it's interesting because this is where it's been consolidating in this golden ratio. If we're going to see it break at any point, the golden ratio is most likely going to be the place from which it starts to really break out. And if it does, a good trade would be somewhere in this $15 to $16 range sell, near term, of course, and then $16 to $19 sell would be just great. And then amazing trade going perfectly according to Fibonacci would be a sell somewhere above $18 or somewhere above $18. So again, it's got rejected. We'll see if it holds. I really like Rigetti's long-term outlook. There's a few reasons why, but the near term is expected to be volatile. Some of the things to note, if I just go over to Amazon, you can tap into this quantum computer through the cloud. Just for those of you guys that are just joining us, maybe you haven't seen that you can go through, actually tap into these quantum computers, run data through them via the cloud on AWS, as well as through Microsoft Azure, as you can see right here. So Google is there as well, but just the reason I bring that up is because some people say, where is the usage happening? That's going to be the indicator on the upcoming earnings. If there's a lot of usage, that's where we would look. The other thing is they recently started selling, I believe it's the Novera. So this is a quantum computer. They're selling it. They've been selling these 9-qubit QPUs, and they're ready to ship today. Introducing the Novera QPU, a 9-qubit version of Rigetti's most powerful quantum computer. Novera gives you unprecedented access to quantum technology so you can explore further, accomplish your work faster. All right, started reading fast. You can see superior performance refined over 10 years. The Novera QPU is based on Rigetti's Anka class architecture, which features a square lattice of qubits and tunable couplers. Wow, it's getting pretty into it. That enable high fidelity 2-qubit operation. This means you can engage in leading edge research and development without settling for less. Some of the use cases that they had mapped out, I don't know that it was specifically Rigetti. You can get one for $900K as they're selling right now. They even have their price there, which is, I think, pretty cool. When we look at the use cases and how they're being implemented, they talked about increasing the efficiency of batteries, running millions of data points through AI and GPU into a quantum computer, to have the quantum computer narrow those millions of data points down to just a few options, really under 10 options, to where scientists could further explore, or have AI make a choice on which one seems like the most viable path and then run that through a quantum computer, which is also a strategy. It's basically tandem with a classical and AI setup. It's not going to run solely on its own. Just something to note. A lot of people say QPUs are going to replace GPUs. That's just something to note. It's actually something that runs in tandem, kind of like as battery technology gets better, it's going to be there in tandem with the actual car or the thing. It's the same thing with these. The GPUs and the AI, that's like where the user or the AI, the interface runs through the classical computer that you send into the quantum computer, and that's the tandem. So they exist together. Just keep that in mind. The thing is, QPUs, some of these, as mapped out in CES, are 10,000 times more efficient than GPUs. just something to consider. It's part of the growth of the industry, is that they're expecting that scale increasing in AI is going to drive higher usage for these quantum computers. If there's an AI boom where quantum computing is going to be the superior method for processing massive amounts of data without, let's say, having perfect code, but being able to not do it just on a classical computer to find, in the example of chemistry, the molecular or the above kind of high level chemical reaction. Quantum computers could calculate down to the electrons, calculate down to the frequencies and how they're moving, and those are things that require a massive amount of computing power, and that's where quantum really plays a role in the development of new tech. So we'll see. Rigetti is doing good. There's a lot of quantum computing companies out there, so keep that in mind. There's a new one we're just going to be covering sooner into this weekend. Make sure to subscribe. Rigetti stock is the first company that I've looked at that has basically missed almost all of their earnings over the last year. There's some other quantum computing companies that have that. If we go to IONQ, I guess you could see they missed earnings, but at least they beat their revenue, expected revenue, by mostly double digits. But when you get back over to Rigetti, they've been missing not just their revenue, but also their earnings per share. So you're buying what could be, and that's awesome. We've talked about that before, is that in most investments, that's how it plays out if you're early to a tech space. But on top of that, some of the biggest companies are invested in Rigetti, and that's something I think every investor should know. So let's see, Rigetti investors. And I think that there is, who is investing in Rigetti? I think we might be able to see some lists here. This isn't the article. Let's see. Institutional investments in Rigetti. And we could look here, common stock institutional. This is according to NASDAQ. I don't know if this is the place where we look. Let's see. Oh, there you go. Deere Management Co. You got BlackRock, American Assets Investment, Vanguard. So BlackRock, Vanguard, those are notable. And it looks like they have, is that $11 million? 9 million times Rigetti's current price of, what's the current price of Rigetti? 1366. So yeah, a little bit over $100 million. Vanguard's invested. You got State Street. That's a notable one, and State Street's there. State Street's there with what looks to be about $40 or $50 million in it. Charles Schwab is there as well. And then if you go into some of the newer companies, some of the thing to consider about this is a lot of these companies recently invested back here in September. You could see some towards the end of 2024. I don't see any 2025s notably, but there's definitely a lot existing towards the end in December or a little bit earlier, related to the time frame that they invested right at the end of 2024. So they're obviously looking at this as a potential opportunity. I'm pretty sure that the biggest thing we took away from every single earnings call, you guys want to know what it was? You'll probably guess it. All the big tech, what were they saying? How many of you guys think you know? They were saying they're going to invest more in AI. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, that's crazy, right? No, of course that's going to happen. But at the same time, the amount of money that they were talking about pouring into GPUs and also exploring alternative computer processing capabilities in quantum computers, you could see it in Microsoft. Got to talk with some Microsoft executives at CES. IBM's doing it. You can see NVIDIA investing heavily. And the reason why is because of the potential and the computing power. So those things all together are why Rigetti is most likely holding this trend, kind of validating this previous support, previous resistance as a support, and starting to continue up. I'm going to see if an opportunity presents itself tomorrow as well. Again, we made a little bit over $300. And I say tomorrow, I actually mean Monday at market open. If you guys would like to be there and get our before the week earnings targets, but also our weekly watch list, it's the second link in the description. That's StockMate. We go live every day at market open. And if you want to be there, I would love to have you there and share with you some of our upcoming targets. At the same time, you get to learn with other traders and investors. Surround yourself with the right people. That's the place to do it. So I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for watching. We'll keep a close eye on Rigetti stock here. If I earned your thumbs up, hit that like button. Do consider subscribing. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.